think the context, providing more context at the beginning was something that I didn't think was necessary, or even talking about how the different files relate to one another and how they can be used together.
And so the recognition that the context has a great deal to do with what it is that you are finding when you are doing direct data collection puts a lot of pressure if you are going to go back and, as a team, really reconsider later what the meaning of this data is, or how it can be used in another process later, a different project. That to not understand that context, you're probably going to make some erroneous assumptions about your data. And so this process of building very extensive READMEs that really go into depth about how, where, when, why, for every interview we do, for every observation, for every process, in order to be sure that we are not, as future selves, assuming things about what we found that may not be true.
Begin talking about it right from scratch. As you bring someone on board, learn about how they've done this. And if you do not necessarily agree with their approaches, maybe you don't bring them on as a collaborator in the first place, right? But my collaborators are fantastic, so I would have brought them on anyways. But I think it's important to have these conversations earlier on as we develop the application, right? And I know you only think about it when you have to apply for ethics, and it's like that this box you have to complete. It's like, oh, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to tell you everything about data? But I think if it's incorporated in the conversations that inform the application itself, the grant application, that helps to seed important steps for the team and for the projects. And even if you're not successful, you learn from it, right?
Encourage all graduate students that any decision that you've made in your research process, it doesn't matter the stage of the research, make sure that it is written down and documented. It's not only going to save you time, but it's going to put you on perspective. Because when you make a decision and then it's not documented, there are a lot of things that we face every day as graduate students. So you may not necessarily recollect what happened in the past 5 minutes ago. Because things that I just said in the past 5 minutes ago, if I ask you to repeat, I will end up saying different things altogether. So it is important that whatever decision that you make at any stage of your research, whether it's in the early stage, pre-research state, or on field research state, or your data analysis state, it must be documented. And then the documentation has to be it should be a clear process, so that you do not make any complicatory documentations. If documented in a plain language, that helps you understand what you are doing.
The challenge that may come forth would be, well, something will be missing, right? Because it's like 600 transcripts handled by 3 RAs across 3 different universities. But one thing we're doing is to have a single place where all that data will be, right? So that data repository, which would be, password protected and all of that. So it's secure enough that we can all go in there.
And something so simple as where to go and to look for it. I thought that it was quite clear, but I guess it wasn't as clear. So those were just a few of the things that I thought maybe needed to be fleshed out. So providing more context, being a little bit more direct about the location and how the documents work together. And those are all important aspects when you talk about metadata.
This series is brought to you by SPARC, a Center for Social Research Innovation.